All right, so welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at more examples of solving systems using substitution. Um, you're going to see in Delta Math, there are three sections for you to try, level 1, level 2, and level 3. We're going to look at level 1 today on Tuesday, October 20th. We'll look at level 2 on Wednesday, October 21st. And we will look at level 3 on Thursday, October 22nd, just to give you a heads up. But level 1, you're going to see questions like these. You're going to remember the first thing when you're doing substitution questions, you want to see it. Do you have one of your variables already by themselves? Do you have x equals a bunch of stuff? Or do you have y equals a bunch of stuff? We're going to see in level 1, like all the questions you're going to see in this Delta Math section is that they're both y equals and y equals. So what that means is really y, like this first equation, y is the same thing as this. I like to think of it as a nickname. Basically, anywhere you see a y, you can replace it with 4x plus 22. It's like my name is Benjamin, but if you call me Ben, I still know you're talking about me. So it's the same thing with these equations. You can either call y y, or maybe if you're his close friend, you can call him 4x plus 22. So but basically what you're going to do is in the second equation, you're going to replace the y with this 4x plus 22. So essentially, if y equals this and y equals this, we could rewrite that as 4x plus 22 equals negative 7x. And now we want to solve this equation. This one's a little bit unique because we have an x and a constant, and we just have an x term. Basically, our goal should be to get the x's on one side and our constants on the side by themselves. And remember, if you don't remember what a constant is a number without a variable. So 22 is our constant. So my advice is, since the right side already only has x's on it, let's move or get rid of the x's on the other side. So to get rid of this 4x, we're going to subtract it to the other side. So if we do that, this would cancel. We would have 22 equals negative 11x. And then we would divide by negative 11. So if you plug that in or work that out, that would be negative 2 equals x. Your answer always goes x comma y. So right now we know our first answer would be negative 2. But to get our y, we're going to plug this back into either one of our equations. And honestly, for the level 1, both of them won't be too bad. But we'll see. You kind of want to pick which one's going to be easier to plug into. But if we plug this in, we are going to have y equals 4 parentheses, because I know x is negative 2. So I'm plugging it into this equation here, and then plus 22. So we're just going to put this in our calculator or work this out. 4 times negative 2 would be negative 8. Plus 22, we would get y is, make sure I don't screw my mental math, that would be 14. So that would be our y value, or the second box. But make sure you always put them in this order, x comma y. If you have them reversed, it's going to mark you wrong. That's important. Let's look at one more example. I'm going to ask you guys some questions to try. So the first thing we're going to do is, since this first equation, and we'll see in level 1 this is always the case, is equal to 5x. That means anywhere in this second equation I see a y, I can replace it with a 5x. So I'm going to end up with 5x equals 9x plus 18. Sorry, plus 8, not 18. Another way to think about it in this section, I mean, if y equals 5x and y equals 9x plus 8, that really means 5x equals 9x plus 8. But really you want to understand, like, if you think about the substitution, that like how I'm explaining it, it will help you with the next two levels. But our goal, like I said in the last example, is we want to get all of the x's to the same side. So what do you think we would do next here? All right, well, you might have picked your own option, but what I would recommend is, since you already have x's on the left-hand side, you're going to subtract the 9x over. Because what that's going to do is you'll only have x's over there, you'll have constants on the other side. So you kind of want to move the x's together, if that makes sense for these questions. So you would have negative 4x, because 5 minus 9 equals 8. What is our x going to equal? Solve this equation. Well, if you solved it, you would have divided negative 4 over, and you would get negative 2. What are we going to do to find our y? Because right now we just know our x is negative 2. How do we find our other variable? Well, you're going to plug it into either one of these equations. Let's plug it into this top equation. So we would have y equals 5 parentheses negative 2. So our final answer should be, oops, almost messed that up. Let me erase that. Sorry, it should be, sorry, I didn't give myself enough space. It should be negative 10. I almost put positive 10. So that would be our y value. So always x comma y. Keep in mind in some of these problems, I'm not sure if Delta Math you will, but sometimes you might solve and get your y answer first. So then you'll plug it in and get your x value. So, but just make sure when you get your answers, you put them in this order here. But that's level 1. If you open up Delta Math, you're going to see you have 5 questions in level 1. I want you to try and get those done today. If you finish early, you're welcome to look at level 2 and level 3. But like I said, we'll be looking at level 2 on Wednesday. We'll be looking at level 2 on Wednesday. We'll be looking at level 3 on Thursday.